what we realized is actually many of the successful projects were built in the bear market, and the founders just persevered. Yeah.
This episode of Untold Stories is sponsored by Bing X and Angel Block. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. What is up? I am your host, Charlie Shrem, and you are listening and watching another epic episode of Untold Stories. We're together twice a week. Actually, this week it was 3 times a week. We put out 3 episodes this week. There's just so much going on. We get to dive deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, those who are leading the charge, those who are building the infrastructure to support. Lately, I've been enjoying speaking to a lot of the product builders in our industry. We've been talking to the CEOs of some of the largest companies in the space. There's just so much. It feels like we're getting so big. And as we get into this new season to the end of 2022 into 2023, one cannot help but wonder, like, what's next? What's next for us? Are we going to be these niche little crypto communities that exist on crypto Twitter? Are we going to be communities where policy is set on forums and on Reddit? Or are we going to move beyond that? Our technology is going to demand us. Our DAO is going to actually have voting turnout. We talked to so many different DAOs lately, and it seems like some of the biggest problem as we see in the real world is that a lot of people just don't go out and vote, or they don't want to vote on very complicated things. So new blockchains that launch that want to be decentralized need to take a step back and ask themselves, hey, what about my validators or my miners or my stakers who don't want to be involved in the day-to-day? How do we maintain decentralization? And to answer all these questions and more, and to go over some really cool topics, we have my awesome guest today, Viktor Fischer. Thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories. How's your weekend?
Great. How are you, Charlie? Oh, it's amazing. Where am I this weekend? I'm actually in London, and it's beautiful. We can walk around.
There's actually, speaking of London, there's a new UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. It's a pretty big deal because he's been quoted all over crypto Twitter and everywhere else about being very pro Web3. He tried to get the Royal Mint in the UK to mint an NFT, and he'll probably uh, be seen right now, at least, as like the most pro crypto, pro Bitcoin prime minister of one of the the largest countries in the world or whatever. So I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think more and more we see countries, especially in Europe, being pro crypto. France also is also a great example. I
Oh
think
yeah.
right now, Crypto.com headquarters is in Paris, Binance as well. European headquarters is also in France. So UK is just another example. We have large part of our team. We are now 34 people. Large part of our team is in Prague, Czech Republic. Also very pro crypto. If you all remember, Trezor was actually the first hardware wallet before Ledger. It was also created in the Czech Republic. I'm very excited about Europe.
You are the managing partner at the Rockaway Blockchain Fund, overseeing the onboarding and growth of early stage blockchain startups. If we go over to your website and look at your portfolio, you guys not only have multiple funds, but you've invested in so many different companies and projects over the years that we all know that go from trading to DeFi to infrastructure, NFTs, Wintermute, Solana, Bitcoin Suisse, Uniswap, shit Compound. I mean, you go through this list. What's the background? Oh, we have a mutual investment in the Pocket Network too, as with my fund,
Oh,
Druid Adventures. That's awesome.
cool. Yeah, so we now have three divisions at Rockaway. One is VC investing, where we manage around $300 million. And we are also a fund of funds. So we invested into 27 funds ranging from, the likes of Multicoin, One Confirmation, Verify, Polychain, Pantera to A16Z Crypto. So that's a fund of fund section. We also have a direct investments where we have, I think, 35 investments currently, mainly seed Series A. We are seed investors in Solana in March 2018. So that's one VC investing. That's one division. Second division is a liquid hedge fund. but it's a market neutral hedge fund generating 13% initially through DeFi. That was our assumption, but now we have mostly basically CeFi lending as our core strategies. It's fully regulated fund based in Liechtenstein. And then we have an engineering division where we do smart contract audits. We run, staking validators. We also run RPCs for Pocket Network. We also have lab section. We develop apps like observatory.zone, where you can see the centralization of Cosmos ecosystem. We do a lot of stuff.
You guys really do a lot of stuff. I mean, what's your oh my god. I
We
have
do a lot of stuff.
so many different questions and directions I want to take it,
Yeah.
but when did you guys enter the Bitcoin and crypto space?
So personally, I started in 2015. I left McKinsey and Company. It's an American consulting firm. And then I started to work from home, but working from home, I'm not efficient because, there is TV and family. And then just down from my apartment is Parallel Polis, Institute of Crypto Anarchy. And maybe some Bitcoin OGs know it. It was the first coffee where you could only pay with Bitcoin. They started in 2013. So in 2015, I went down from apartment and they actually had like a co-working hub. So I said, okay, I want to rent like 1 month here, a desk. How much is it? And they're like, yeah, it's 1 Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin back then was like $300. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what is this Bitcoin? So thanks to them, I bought my first Bitcoin actually initially on a paper wallet. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then we actually started investing in like 17 during the ICO boom. 18 we did Solana and some other less successful protocols, I would say, as we were learning.
Sure.
And then in June 2020 we launched the fully fledged fund.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Really interesting. So you guys launched during basically like you caught the tail end of a bull market, and then you launched full-fledged in this bear market of 2017, 28 or 2018.
Yeah.
You had some successful and some unsuccessful ones. What did you learn about the successful ones that came out of the bear market?
Yeah, so we could not have a worse timing actually, yeah. So when we finally had some warehouse investments initially, so we had like Solana warehouse, and then we said, okay, let's create a fund. And we sent our PPM, private placement memorandum, to our potential investors in February 2020, saying sign by March 2020. And then the pandemic happened. So our first close was $6.5 million. That's all we could raise. It's all $6.5 million, management fee of 2%. Like, it doesn't even pay you salary of one person. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough.
So I was so depressed. And then some of our investments, like in addition to Solana, like Vega performed successfully, was able to launch their network, Agoric as well. And then what we realized is actually many of the successful projects were built in the bear market, and the founders just persevered. Yeah, Hayden of Uniswap was actually, he wrote the white paper in 17 and just continued building in 18.
Uniswap is actually one of the perfect examples of companies that were built in the bear market. Coinbase was launched in almost some of the largest.
Yeah, many of the successes you see today were actually launched during the last crypto winter, or built during the last.
And as we're in one now, and a lot of my listeners are either working for some of these companies or startup founders themselves, together we're trying to like figure out of the past like few months. I've been trying to figure out with the listeners, like, what is it the founder? Is it the idea? Is it the product? Is it a speed thing? Like, is there a common denominator that helps make some of these projects hyper successful during the bear markets?
I think it's the founder and the founder's team, and the fact that they just want to persevere. They just believe so much in their product, and they are not in for the money. They are in for, the vision and the revolution they want to bring.
Being in crypto now, like 13 years myself, I can't help but wonder, are there still entrepreneurs left who just believe in the vision, who just love this for the equality, for the for the redistribution of equal wealth, for the the equal playing field, the bringing out people from disenfranchisement, all these like really positive things. Are people in it for that now?
Absolutely. And actually think the bear markets are good because it clears out of tourists. Yeah. And we see and we see less, just copies of like another AMMs. For example, we are leading the round to Three World, Three Moons. You can Google it, Three World, Three Moons. It's a fantastic team of authors of comics books. And, they were drawing and creating comics books of Thor and Superman and others. And they said, like, NFTs, blockchain, and tokens are just completely changing their industry. Yeah. And because of the direct distribution, so they can cut out the intermediaries who are like taking many fees, number one. Number two, through like NFTs and tokens, actually the users, the readers, they can change the story a little bit. They can even use the play to earn business model because they can create a character, an avatar in that comic story, and then potentially sell it through a marketplace. Just completely disrupts the current business model. And comics, versus gaming takes like 5 years to develop a AAA game. Takes 6 months to create a comics book. So it's a faster, shorter go-to-market.
Hey guys, we've been talking about BingX for the last few months. Super cool social copy trading platform where you can trade all sorts of cryptocurrencies, follow other traders, see their historical averages, how they've been doing, and follow or unfollow different people and all their trades 24/7. And what's cool about BingX, other than the free money, which I'll talk to in a second, that they're offering just to my listeners, but they also offer this super cool strategy that's like a spot grid. And they just launched like last week this, how do I explain it, a really, really cool strategy that now that I understand it, it's called an infinity grid. And it's designed to avoid us missing out on the trending market when the prices start to run high, especially when we're not trading and we're not sleeping. You should go check it out. All the links are below. And don't forget, they're also offering a 125 USDT new user reward. So if you're a new user, click the link below. Go to BingX and you get that free money. And on top of that, if you try out their social trading platform and the different copy trading, if you lose $30, they're actually going to repay you back those $30. All the information is below. Check them out. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. And thanks for my listeners for helping our sponsors out. Thank you. How do you guys invest? Like I'm a VC of a fund. We're a lot smaller. We have like a investment committee. We're a $13 million fund, but we have like our thesis, and we invest in very infrastructure, pick and shovels, things that I've been personally investing in over the course of my life. How do you invest in multiple sectors, and then how do you create partnerships between all the different portfolio companies?
So we are now 34 people, so relatively large team, and we split responsibilities by verticals. We have 4 verticals. Trading, where we put market makers like Wintermute, we invested. We put also exchanges like Bitcoin Swiss. We have a DeFi vertical, like, Friction, for example, the options protocol on Solana or others. Then we have Web3 and gaming vertical, and then we have infrastructure vertical. But I would say we are also an infrastructure investor because even Three World, Three Moons, their ultimate vision is to create the platform. It's to create a protocol on which other authors could create comic books. Yeah. Even Farcaster. Yeah. Farcaster is a social network, but they have their vision is to have a protocol, a platform.
I like what you said about the direct distribution part, because some of the I've been in the film industry the past 2 years, and one of the things I noticed is that you can, same thing with comics, you can develop a screenplay, you can make something beautiful, whether it's a film or TV show, but at the end of the day, the distribution is still owned by like 3 companies. All the Netflix and Hulus and the Amazons and all the networks in the US at least are owned by like 3 different hedge funds. And so there's no direct distribution. And so like all the rights and the NFTs and the artists and all those people that are involved, it all has to get sold to like one company and you lose all the rights. So you can't do that.
Yeah.
But with comic books, you're buying like the artist. So I really like what you
Yeah.
said, I should be looking at also businesses where you have like end-to-end distribution from
Yeah.
beginning from the product. That's very
Yes.
interesting.
And I think it's the common denominator of, if you think about it, like all the crypto projects. Yeah. Like even why we were so excited initially by crypto is because most of us are born in Czechoslovakia, which used to be a communist country where you just could not travel outside of the border. You could not send money easily to someone in the US. You could not actually go to university or open a bank account if your parents were not part of a communist country. Yeah. I was 12 when communist regime was finally over. And it just changed our personalities forever. It's like ingrained so deeply in us is that right now, with just, a simple wallet, like, I don't know, Unstoppable Finance wallet on your phone, you can send USDC someone else in Argentina in a couple of seconds. Yeah.
I think people don't realize how beautiful of a thing that is, that you've
Yeah.
like it's really and to some extent that world is kind of coming back a little bit, where different countries are saying what money or what you could do business with this person and that, and it kind of goes back and forth, and like normal citizens have to go and check various lists, like can I work with this person? It's just a whole complicated thing. um and I think we take for granted, especially in the US, for the ability to like be able to just send money anywhere and do whatever we want. But like you said, you grew up with that inability, and so now you're
Yeah.
coming here looking in from that angle. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. You don't understand the value of freedom if you have it. You do understand it when you don't have it.
Shit, you can say that
Yeah.
again. You can expand on that.
Yeah. And it's just and it's just so powerful, like ingrained in what we do. Yeah.
Some of the biggest things I hear from people that are not in our industry, they tell me, Charlie, like crypto is fun and it's great, Bitcoin is fun and it's great, but until I have to use it, I'm just not going to learn or figure out how to use it. I'm still going to use the apps that I use today. So we have to continue building out consumer use cases. We have to build out applications and products for the whole world. Are we there yet? Are you investing? Are you seeing products that when they launch, you're going to say, wow, this is just going to blow people's heads off. They're going to not want to do it how they were doing it before.
Yeah. I think we are getting there as an industry. Yeah. My feedback to us as crypto native people would be, we kind of really like to be complicated. Yeah. We kind of like even like read crypto Twitter. Yeah? It's like continuous competition of like who is smarter. But I don't think complexity is helping us, because then we need traditional world. We need trillions of dollars, which are today invested in other assets, to also be invested in our industry. But the traditional investors, they will not invest unless they understand our world. Yeah, we have around 52 investors currently. Most of them are from traditional financial world, and we spend a lot of time explaining them use cases. And if we are not able to demonstrate to them clear value, they will not invest. And I think as an industry, we have to get better at that. So, and to answer your question, like a couple of use cases which really work are, for example, fund tokens. Yeah. If you look at CryptoSlam, fund tokens for us crypto people, we don't really care about these use cases, but it's actually very interesting. Like 7 billion 30-day trading volume on fund tokens versus, I don't know, 500 million on NFTs. It's like 10x bigger in terms of trendy trading volume. And it's really used mostly for like football clubs or Formula One teams. Like F1 Alpine team is now, quite successful with their F1 token, the fund token. And that's a real use case. Yeah. And traditional people I speak to, they would like to use it for loyalty programs. Loyalty programs are a big problem today. Like every company has a different system. It's difficult. People don't carry those cards. If we had it like on our phones with the wallet, could be much easier. Yeah. So that's and there the usability is paramount. But we are seeing, these projects to simplifying the interfaces. definitely. Steppen also, such a simple interface, although it could be simpler.
Yeah, Steppen,
But
Helium, things like that
yeah,
involved hardware. It
Helium,
seems
yeah, Helium, Hive Mapper, even some games I think are now simple enough. Yeah, Mini Royale, you don't even know, there is like crypto in the background, and NFT, so very easy. Angry Dynamite's lab, which we just invested into, also simple to use games. So I think we are getting there, but still using crypto today is like prehistoric. You still
yeah.
have to kind of like go upstairs, plug your USB dongle or your hardware wallet. It's like it has to get simpler, and number two, it has to get mobile.
There's two questions. There's two things we could unpack there. Like right now, it all comes down to a browser widget or like a browser extension. Everything
Yeah,
we do in crypto operates over like whether it's like MetaMask or, you know, insert blockchain here signer. So, like Cosmos signer, Casper signer, whatever, like, or you have like Lightning Connect. So it's all coming down to this extension. Is the
yeah.
future of Web3 the freaking extension? Or are we going to have what's the next?
I think it's mobile wallets, but much
Yeah.
easier to use than today. Like today, if I want to use OpenSea from MetaMask, I open MetaMask. I have to go to like a special tag which is browser. I go to that browser to OpenSea, and then it's like even kind of difficult to search there. I think the future is in mobile, and we just have more work to do to get there. I feel
No.
like in crypto right now we are really in like 1990s. I did my high school in the US in Lewisburg area high school in Pennsylvania.
Oh my, you went to Lewisburg High School?
Yeah, senior year.
Do you know my story in Bitcoin and crypto? Like my whole
No.
do you know my whole backstory? I always assume, but I've been involved in Bitcoin a long time. I had the first Bitcoin startup, BitInstant, and I started the Bitcoin Foundation back in 2011.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I went to prison for a year and a half, uh, for not having an unlicensed money transmitting business, which was at the time this was like pre Bitcoin,
Uh,
pre Coinbase, pre everything like that. Was one of the first people in the whole Bitcoin space. So I've been podcasting forever. But I went to prison in Lewisburg.
oh yeah, there is a big prison.
That's where I
I
went.
visited it. I
Every
visited.
every every third Sunday was the big Bitcoin meetup in the prison visiting room.
Yeah, yeah. I visited that prison because I was young back when I was in Lewisburg High School, and I stayed with American family. And the father of that family was actually helping prisoners to get real life. So went there, brought them books, talked them about the outside world, and I visited a couple of times the penitentiary with him. I think
That's a
that's
beautiful
how it was
thing.
called. Yeah,
It's a small world. It all comes back. But yeah, that
yeah.
you talked about freedom. I was 20. It's nothing compared to you or what some other people have had to dealt with in their lives. I had only a little bit of a small slice, very, very, very small slice of losing my freedom. Very small
Mm,
slice. But nonetheless, I lost it for a year and a half. And I was 3 years old. And so 2 years for a 23-year-old, I mean, that's like 10% of my life at that point. So it had a
yeah,
huge impact. Time is very relative. And
yeah,
I'll never take my freedom for granted ever again. And you're right. I think, and this is not like a personal attack against anyone specifically, I really do fundamentally believe that if you never lost your freedom or your liberty, you don't understand what it's like. Because when you do, there's no one to appeal to. There's no
yeah,
court of the world that you can go
yeah,
to. There's no one else. Like you're fucked. There's
yeah.
nothing.
It's like air. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't appreciate it unless you don't have it. Or like the internet, yeah. Like sometimes you travel to these emerging countries, or this year I went to Burning Man, like this
Oh,
festival
nice.
in
Yeah.
Nevada. Yeah. And like some of the RVs there, they had like internet access, and people were kind of like regrouping around those RVs to get internet. So,
I know. I keep
oh, yeah,
seeing. I keep seeing that people are like. It's funny because Burning Man got. It got so like it used to be. The reason it was so great, and it probably still is, but the reason people enjoyed it so much was because this is what my friends tell me because I haven't been. Is that it required so much logistical work to get
Yeah,
there and to be comfortable. And
yeah,
so you had an assumption that we're not going to be comfortable. It was going to be difficult. It's going to be dusty, but somehow you're going to have this amazing experience out of it. But because it became so comfortable and easy, you could phone call. Obviously, you need money. You make a phone call, $20,000 later, you give them your credit card number. You just got to show up. It doesn't make the experience probably as good. And again, I'm probably going to get some emails now from some people saying, I went to Burning Man and it was amazing, So
no,
I'm
it's still
sorry. I don't
great.
mean to
It's still
insult
great, but
anyone.
I think you have to abide to the values, which
Yeah.
include like radical self-reliance and doing the things yourself versus just. But I heard some like full service scams were banned,
Surprise me.
especially this year and 2 years ago, like Humano, for example. So I think the Burning Man organization wants to bring back this like initial culture,
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing.
Hey guys, I want to take a second and talk to you about our newest sponsor, angelblock.io. It's about that time in the bear market that we actually have to take a look at which projects have taken the do's and the don'ts from all the previous waves, bull and bear markets that we've had, and build out real decentralized projects that are going to be successful and take this blockchain and crypto world that we're into the next level. Traditional fundraising is very clunky, and traditional investing in crypto is very clunky as well. I know, I'm a VC at Druid Ventures. AngelBlock is really, really cool, and it's a new DeFi protocol that's solving not only the issues of fundraising for digital assets, but more compliance, transparency, real decentralization. They have on-chain governance, staking, lending, secondary marketplaces for the trading of tokens, all these different ways that you can actually interact with the startup and the token and the project that you're actually investing in. There's a whole community here. AngelBlock is that new compliant platform that's safe and easy to use in order to weed out all the scams. It's so cool. It's built on top of Ethereum, but it's multi-chain by design. They'll also be involved in the mentoring process. There's a phenomenal community that AngelBlock has built. It doesn't cost anything. Go check out the community. Go to their website, angelblock.io. Sign up to their email to stay up to date. You'll have a chance to win some really cool AngelBlock NFTs. And this is only for Untold Stories listeners. Thank you, guys.
The founder of Burning Man, Michael, I think his name was Michael Michaels. He may have passed away. He was I gave a speech about Bitcoin one time, like 8 years ago, and he was sitting in the front seat with this big hat. And I couldn't see over anyone else. And I remember
Yeah.
saying to my friend, who is that dude with the big hat that I couldn't see over? And my friend was like, actually, the other guy in the panel with me was my good friend. I'm freaking forgetting his name. Bill from Abra, the co-founder of Abra. He goes, yeah, that's Michael Michaels, the founder of Burning Man, right there. It was crazy.
So I've just Googled it. It's Larry Harvey and Jerry James, the builders
Yeah,
of the
Larry
first
Larry
man.
Harvey, not Michael Michaels. I knew it was
Yeah,
two first names.
yeah.
That's how I
Larry Harvey
remembered
and
it.
Jerry James. Yeah.
Um,
Larry Harvey passed away.
it's what a sad story. I had a guest on the show a few weeks ago and we talked about yield. So a big thing with DeFi in those, those early like a few months ago or like a year ago, yield was a huge driver for like the world to come into our space. People were chasing 7 to 9%, and that was normal. But then people started chasing these like 12% plus yields. And a lot of those yields were backed up. Excuse me. A lot of those crazy yields were just backed up by like inflationary tokens, which
Yeah.
once they started to go down in value, the those yields couldn't be made. We saw bankruptcies, we saw collapsing Three Arrows Capital, Terra Luna, Voyager Celsius. There's like a list of 15, 20 companies that have collapsed. And I'm personally have money lost in one of them.
Mm.
Do you think yield is going to come back? Now, especially the fact that I can go to my bank and get 4% safely, and I can go to the Federal Reserve and get 4.5%, 5%. Is yield going to be the killer app for crypto? Like, what's this going to look like? If a company comes to you right now and says, Victor, like, we're gonna do yield and blockchain, are you like shying away? Are you interested?
Yeah. So that's a very good question because we have a yield product. It's a fully regulated hedge fund structure based in Liechtenstein. We started to create it for our investors back in the summer of 2021 because there were no yields in traditional world. But in crypto, we were getting easily 20% plus. It took us 9 months to create that fund. And again, the timing couldn't be worse because we launched in April
Sure.
this year and May, everything went down. Yeah. So right now the yields on DeFi is like what? Aave, I see it here, yeah. Aave 0.25% on USDC, compound 0.95.
It's
Curve
crazy.
on Frax USDC 1.84%, yeah. But on like fixed income products, low risk government bonds, you get like 4%. So of course, it's not competitive at all. So what we do currently in our yield hedge fund is that we lend out to market makers because liquidity, because of the crash, was just flushed out of the market. Yeah. Now the lenders are often, out of business or they have no cash to lend out. But the trading volume is still around like 1 trillion spot per month or 2 trillion in derivatives. So there is trading volume. So market makers, they do need capital in order to leverage themselves. And, they are able to, pay interesting yields, 10, 12, 13, 15%. So that's where we are helping. You can also provide loans to, some centralized exchanges like Bitfinex, for example. They have a real time market for loans
Yeah.
for their traders. You can actually help traders to trade more efficiently. That's where we see opportunities today.
This
To
was the
answer your
like
question, yeah,
the
yeah,
original like early days crypto trading, like Bitcoin being able to provide the other side. It was like the whole thing here. But what about yield of like tokenizing an already like illiquid asset? So for example, tokenizing like car loans. So for
or real
example,
estate, yeah, yeah.
a real
Credits, I
real
think, is
estate
doing,
is
yeah,
happening kind of on its
yeah.
own. But I'm
I think
talking about,
Credits,
yeah.
yeah, Credits is doing a good job. They are doing car loans, I think, in Brazil, South America. So, but you see also good companies like Centrifuge, Maple, Clearpool. I think I see the future there. Yeah. So just making the access much easier. Again, it's about removing the intermediary, yeah, so that you can invest into these products with smaller initial investment. It's exactly the same value proposition as KKR used when they tokenized their healthcare fund, private equity
Oh, yeah,
fund on
interesting point.
Securitize. Yeah. Normally they have $1 million initial ticket, like minimum ticket to invest into their fund. Through security token, they were able to reduce it to 100K.
What about you personally? Do you think you'll jump back to the entrepreneur side of things ever?
I feel like I'm entrepreneur because, like, you know, we created the VC fund, we created the hedge fund, we created the engineering team running the staking validators. We created the labs. We also did the JV with HEC. It's like a team out of the Czech Technical University here now doing smart contract audits. That's why I like crypto because it's so early. So actually you are like entrepreneur all the time. And we have like so many ideas of things we could do, like, a Web3 development studio for fund tokens. I think helping brands to engage directly with their consumers. You could, even on the staking side, there are so many improvements which could be done. I think we could talk about this for like hours,
Yeah,
but
we could, right?
I think in the future the power goes to the stakers, and the validators just have to be very efficient and appeal to stakers to get their stakes. And I think it's not done correctly today because it's either static, you go on like some validator page, like staking rewards, and you choose a
Yeah.
validator, or it's dynamic through liquid staking like Lido, but it's permission, so they have 20 validators who they approved, and they only allocate your stake 1/20. So every validator gets 5% of the stake you are giving to Lido. And I don't think it's fair. I think in the future we should have a dynamic liquid staking system which dynamically allocates to validators who need most your stake because either they are most contributing to decentralization, so they are in a country where you need the blockchain to be better covered, or they use an internet service provider which helps decentralization, or they have a good validator behavior, which means they are not being slashed often, they have a low commission, or they are not doing malicious MEV. And we dream about the system like a liquid staking system. We actually have a white paper already written for it. You give it your stake, like let's say, 10,000 souls, and it automatically distributes these 10,000 souls through on those validators who deserve it most. And every epoch it updates it.
It's interesting because you mentioned that decentralization being like an economic lever here. And so that makes me happy because that's why I got into this space. So you really think that liquid staking and situations like this will favor people who are in like geographically better covered for decentralization than, like, for example, a node or a validator in a geographic place where they're worried about like the regulatory hammer coming down or a dictatorship or something like that?
Yes, I think so. And look at a website called observatory.zone. Yeah, we programmed it.
Say it again. What's the website?
Observatory.zone. I think you
Okay,
should.
yeah. Oh, look at this. You have all the different blockchains.
Yeah, these are all Cosmos. Yeah, it currently runs on Cosmos. You click any blockchain on Cosmos, and you can see actually the KPIs in terms of decentralization. So on how many validators do you have the stake? I clicked Agoric, for example. Yeah, on how many validators?
Oh, this is so cool.
You have more than like 33.33% of the network concentrated, which means it's like a validator concentration issue, or what we call Nakamoto coefficient. In how many countries? And you can see that actually Agoric is very much concentrated in 2 countries, and it's Finland and Germany. And if one of those countries were to ban, just like China did, staking, then it would be a problem for the chain. Yeah, and definitely it would be if both countries did it. Then you get also ISP, so internet service provider concentration. And here you can see that Agoric is running 32% of the network on Hetzner Online. Hetzner is a German internet service provider. And if you read their terms of service, it says, do not run staking or mining operations.
Really?
We might stop your server. So everyone who is doing that is actually really risking to be shut down. And if Hetzner did this, Agoric as a network would have a problem. And then you can click, you have details of different validators, and every validator, we are already scoring them in terms of different criteria like commission rate, missed blocks, self-delegation, how much also they contribute to decentralization. And then on top of this, we are planning to build the automatic liquid staking system, which would allocate your stake to those validators who deserve it most.
I am blown away by how much work and products and fun you seem to be having doing all this. I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so cool, but we are a large team, yeah, like 34 people to get stuff done.
I really appreciate you taking the time and out of your day and coming on Untold Stories today and kind of giving us a small window into what you've been working on. I feel like this is one of those episodes where the listeners are just going to be like writing everything down and going back and taking notes, because I definitely will. And I appreciate the time today. Viktor Fischer, managing partner at Rockaway Blockchain Fund. How can my listeners follow you? How can they continue the conversation?
Well, just follow me on Twitter. It's at Viktor Fischer. I'm not very active on Twitter. We are most builders, Eastern Europeans, introverted engineers, not very good at doing PR or branding. So just,
I love that.
Or shoot me an email to victor@rbf.capital.
Okay, awesome. Viktor, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Have a great day.